Life in the medieval period is often romanticized, painted in broad strokes of stone castles, noble knights, chivalrous duels, and lavish feasts held beneath vaulted ceilings. Stories and films tend to focus on the grandeur, the pageantry, and the drama. But beneath that polished veneer was a world defined by hardship, uncertainty, and physical endurance. For all its beauty and legend, the medieval world was unforgiving. To understand just how inhospitable the era could be, one must look beyond the myth. Imagine for a moment waking to find yourself transported into this world, not as a visitor or observer, but as someone expected to live, labor, and survive in it. As the day unfolds, you rise as a king and fall asleep as a peasant. Each hour lived through a different station in the rigid medieval hierarchy. From the pressure-laden court of the monarch to the mud-caked hands of the field laborer, every position brings its own burdens, its own rules, fears, and physical toll. The life of a noble was not necessarily comfortable. The life of a knight was not always heroic, and the life of a peasant was more often than not a daily struggle to stay alive. This is not a journey through fantasy, but through reality, through the weight of history, stripped of its golden glow. A single day is all it takes to see how deeply different this world was, and why survival in it, even for the strongest, would be far from guaranteed. Have you ever considered what it really means to wear a crown? The grandeur and authority are apparent, but beneath the glittering surface lies a profound isolation. Imagine waking each day in a stone chamber, fit for the tales of ancient fortresses, where the echoes of victory and celebration are muffled by a heavy silence. This is not just a setting. It's a solitude that accompanies responsibility, an opulent trap woven from threads of duty and expectation. This is not just a setting. It's a solitude that accompanies responsibility, an opulent trap woven from threads of duty and expectation. To be king is to continually balance on the edge of power and loneliness. In the heart of the castle, the king lives in a stone chamber that defies the myriad tales of royal splendor whispered among the common folk, ornate and austere. The chamber greets you with a chill that clings to its stone surfaces, like a reminder of an unyielding past. Arched ceilings loom overhead, casting shadows that stretch across the cold, polished floor. The walls, although adorned with intricate tapestries depicting victorious battles and moments of royal celebration, fail to mask the stark, unfeeling stone that forms the core of the chamber. The thick velvet drapes hang heavily over narrow stained glass windows. They filter the sunlight into fragmented colors, projecting patterns onto the stone floor that seem as imprisoned as the thoughts of the man who inhabits this space. Alongside it, a sturdy oaken table is strewn with maps and scrolls, symbols of the king's unending affairs and the weighty obligations pulling at him from every direction. The crisp parchment, marked with decisions yet to be made, mirrors the king's tangled thoughts, scribbled edges betraying a mind never truly at ease. The chamber's high windows allow peeks of the kingdom beyond, acres of land spreading like a quilt crafted from fields, forests, and rivers. Yet even this breathtaking view reinforces his isolation. Its beauty felt only in glimpses, fleeting moments when the daylight pierces through the stained glass. For the king, the world exists largely outside these stone boundaries, a parallel life that carries on, vibrant and scarcely affected by the fortress walls that hold him in. Wandering through this chamber, observing each object and its placement, speaks to the king's unique isolation. Every curated piece, Every illusory trace of opulence reveals the separation between the king's world and those he rules. His life unfolds within boundaries set by stone and circumstance, a prisoner to the legacy passed down. Each king's deed, a stone laid on this towering edifice of responsibility. This isolation, bred by power, disconnects him from true camaraderie. The chamber's vastness feels larger when draped in solitude, echoing the king's longing for honest connection, absent from his daily performances. The weight of the chamber reflects the weight of the crown, a silent testament to the burdens the king carries. To wander its halls is to step through layers of history and expectation. Its architecture whispers tales of past rulers, lessons etched into stony silence, echoing into the present. This legacy is an invisible occupant, present at every corner, whispering constantly. Isolation in the depths of this chamber feels intentional, almost tactical. Removed from the comforting chaos of the court, the king basks in what should be solace. Yet tranquility can become oppressive in its constancy. Perhaps it is in these moments of silence, when the fire dies low and the shadows lengthen, that the king feels the full weight of his solitary reign. His is an existence tied to legacy, where companionship treats are fleeting and trust is a scarcity. Within this stone testament of power, the king grapples with an existence unlike any other. The tactile richness, stone dampness, underpinned with ornate finery, reflects both the promise and cost of power. The unyielding stone mirrors his heart's hardened exterior. Born of necessity and circumstance, there is a determined harshness to such existence, not as frivolous as it appears to spectators. The king's engagement with life beyond this chamber is limited, each day drawn into structured periods dictated by duty. His interactions, whether with advisors or through ceremonial engagements, frame a narrative of relentless obligation. Decisions await him, woven into the fabric of his daily routine, demanding contemplation and resolution. This structured monotony becomes a reminder of the life he leads, orchestrating kingdom affairs, yet cloaked in this singular stone solitude. As the day progresses, and the chamber is briefly brightened by another glimpse of sunlight, the king prepares for the approaching hours. Perhaps today, advisors will stand opposite him at the oak table, their voices filling the expanse, the chamber rebounding with considerations of state and strategy. He must weigh each word, each counsel provided with the balance of his realm at stake. The echo of their voices lost in stone, but the weight of their advice full upon him. In this way, the chamber remains pivotal to the king's life, a place of deliberation and direction, where isolation transforms into focus. These interactions signal a shift in his daily routine and lead naturally to the dynamics of governance and ruling, a path laden with expectation and the source of both the king's strength and solitude. The ceremonial duties and the weight of decision-making wait eagerly as another day within these walls unfurls its tale. The stage has been set within the king's gilded cage of ceremonial duties and daily interactions, offering a glimpse into the regal yet isolating world he inhabits. A place where grand gestures and endless protocols simulate mastery over his realm. Yet, beneath this veneer of ultimate authority lies a life of paradoxes. Duty-laden routines may manifest as seeming control, but they paint over the constant stress of wielding a power that cannot shield the ruler from internal and external struggles. This king battles the peculiar blend of privilege and peril that marks his reign. Politically, He stands at the mercy of complex webs woven by advisors and courtiers, whose motives are often as unclear as the king's path through daily governance. The illusion of control quickly dissipates in this atmosphere of constant vigilance, overshadowed by fear and political intrigue. Every interaction becomes a nuanced dance where alliances shift with the breeze and loyalty is a rare commodity. His counsel, ideally a source of wisdom, instead presents a mosaic of conflicting interests, each voice a potential ally or adversary. Power shapes perception in ways both subtle and profound. Those who wield authority find themselves increasingly isolated, their relationships filtered through layers of protocol and suspicion. Every gesture becomes calculated, every confidence measured against potential consequences. Internally, the king copes with more than courtly connivance. His position demands a separation from authentic human contact. Isolated by status, he endures solitude masked by attendants who flit about, pretending to fulfill his every need while subtly reminding him of his separateness. The role that alienates while pretending intimacy leaves no room for real connection. Trust is an always distant ideal, further blurred by the shadows cast by potential deception. Despite his elevated status, the king struggles with ironic twists, living lavishly yet deprived of simple comforts. Privacy, the cherished retreat from the public eye for most, becomes an elusive fantasy. He lives under the cloak of splendor, where even moments meant to reflect personal sovereignty demand scrutiny and attendance. His environment, designed to project opulence, becomes suffocating. Rooms echo with footsteps, not of reverence, but surveillance, further cementing the inherent contradiction within his reign. Moreover, tasks and traditions that define his rule detract from the familiarity and comfort that define human dignity. The regal, ceremonious facade covers a reality where basic personal needs receive minimal consideration. The grandeur of his position, paradoxically, invites neglect in personal life, a poignant irony for one who should want for nothing. A king burdened by intrigue finds little sanctuary, not even in his bedchambers, where relaxation exists only as a memory, obscured by the whispers of duty. Stories of betrayal, of ambitious whispers in the corridors, filter through his dreams, knitting burdens into the fabric of his consciousness. Even allies who dine beside him nurture designs that erode his peace of mind. Rest remains a luxury in a life where vigilance is its currency. Here, power and peace are distant relations, rarely enjoying the same company. Consider a royal banquet not just a feast, but a forum where tensions brew and ambitions curdle into silent provocations. Amongst laughter and the clatter of cutlery, the king discerns undertones of future betrayals. A glance held a heartbeat longer, an exaggerated enthusiasm at court jesters' performances. These become threads of the larger political quilt he navigates. This continuous scrutiny mirrors his life, a tapestry of looming betrayals holding court while forcing smiles that never reach weary eyes. Such encounters magnify the loneliness of leadership, his sovereignty shadowed by looming distrust. The king's struggles intertwine his external battles with internal conflicts. Burdened by the fate of the realm, every decision echoes with the weight of affecting not just present dynamics, but the chronicled pages of history that will record his legacy. This legacy, despite its splendor, carries a relentless refrain of more decisions, more vigilance, more scrutiny. There's no latitude for falter or forgiveness today or tomorrow. Accountability defines power, generosity lacking. These treacherous waters encircle him, compelling careful navigation through adversity. His reality is one of constant attention, triage amidst political tempest and unease. The environment pounds like waves of distrust against the steadfast stone of monarchy, unyielding in its demands. Legacy requires stability against tempests of rebellion, potential coups that threaten his already tenuous peace. His very reign becomes a ship weathering storms from within and without, charting courses through uncertainty to secure not just his dominion, but peace for those he governs. The king's bed, a grand four-poster, adorned with lavish fabrics and cushions, stands majestic yet impersonal. Its grandeur doesn't invite rest as much as it commands reverence, a nightly reminder of duty rather than repose. Alongside it, a sturdy oaken table is strewn with maps and scrolls, symbols of the king's unending affairs and the weighty obligations pulling at him from every direction. The crisp parchment, marked with decisions yet to be made, mirrors the king's tangled thoughts, scribbled edges betraying a mind never truly at ease. The chamber's high windows allow peeks of the kingdom beyond, acres of land spreading like a quilt, crafted from fields, forests, and rivers. Yet even this breathtaking view reinforces his isolation, its beauty felt only in glimpses, fleeting moments when the daylight pierces through the stained glass. For the king, the world exists largely outside these stone boundaries, a parallel life that carries on, vibrant and scarcely affected by the fortress walls that hold him in. Wandering through this chamber, observing each object and its placement, speaks to the king's unique isolation. Every curated piece, every illusory trace of opulence, reveals the separation between the king's world and those he rules. His life unfolds within boundaries set by stone and circumstance, a prisoner to the legacy passed down. Each king's deed, a stone laid on this towering edifice of responsibility. This chamber acts as both sanctuary and cell, embodying the dichotomy of the monarch's existence. It is a cocoon sheltering him from the outside's fierce practicality. Decisions must be swift, appearances impeccable. This isolation, bred by power, disconnects him from true camaraderie. The chamber's vastness feels larger when draped in solitude, echoing the king's longing for honest connection, absent from his daily performances. The weight of the chamber reflects the weight of the crown, a silent testament to the burdens the king carries. To wander its halls is to step through layers of history and expectation. Its architecture whispers tales of past rulers, lessons etched into stony silence, echoing into the present. This legacy is an invisible occupant, present at every corner, whispering constantly, isolation. In the depths of this chamber feels intentional, almost tactical, removed from the comforting chaos of the court. The king basks in what should be solace, yet tranquility can become oppressive in its constancy. Perhaps it is in these moments of silence, when the fire dies low and the shadows lengthen, that the king feels the full weight of his solitary reign. His is an existence tied to legacy, where companionship treats are fleeting and trust is a scarcity. Within this stone testament of power, the king grapples with an existence unlike any other. The tactile richness, stone dampness underpinned with ornate finery, reflects both the promise and cost of power. The unyielding stone mirrors his heart's hardened exterior, born of necessity and circumstance. There is a determined harshness to such existence, not as frivolous as it appears to spectators. The king's engagement with life beyond this chamber is limited, each day drawn into structured periods dictated by duty. His interactions, whether with advisors or through ceremonial engagements, frame a narrative of relentless obligation. Decisions await him, woven into the fabric of his daily routine, demanding contemplation and resolution. This structured monotony becomes a reminder of the life he leads, orchestrating kingdom affairs, yet cloaked in this singular stone solitude. As the day progresses and the chamber is briefly brightened by another glimpse of sunlight, the king prepares for the approaching hours. Perhaps today, advisors will stand opposite him at the oak table, their voices filling the expanse, the chamber rebounding with considerations of state and strategy. He must weigh each word, each counsel provided with the balance of his realm at stake. The echo of their voices lost in stone, but the weight of their advice full upon him. In this way, the chamber remains pivotal to the king's life, a place of deliberation and direction, where isolation transforms into focus. These interactions signal a shift in his daily routine and lead naturally to the dynamics of governance and ruling, a path laden with expectation and the source of both the king's strength and solitude. In this dance of power, the king becomes both choreographer and captive, his every move premeditated, rehearsed, and scrutinized. Even gestures of mercy must be measured, lest they be perceived as weakness. Strength, after all, is the only currency respected in a realm where ambition is as common as breath. The regal mask never slips, even in private, for the walls themselves might bear witness, and whispers may travel faster than truth. Despite this, the king clings to moments, those brief interludes of clarity that emerge when the court is silent and the flickering fire casts shadows on stone. In those quiet hours, he confronts his truest reflection, not in polished mirrors, but in his own doubts. He wonders whether legacy is built by the hand or the heart. Is it the bloodline that carves history, or the choices made in the solitude of a ruler's mind? And still, dawn returns, indifferent to the king's introspection. The court awakens with its usual rustle of silk and intention. Pages rush through corridors, nobles resume their subtle games, and the kingdom demands its sovereign once more. He dons the robes of state, not with pride, but with resignation, a warrior not of war, but of will. His decisions ripple outward, shaping lives and futures, yet the loneliness within deepens, a steady tide that power cannot command. Rumors of unrest trickle in, cloaked as couriers and reports. A border skirmish, a failed harvest, a discontented noble's subtle disobedience. They arrive like distant thunder, presaging storms that gather beyond the horizon. The king, weary but unwavering, prepares once more to respond, not just as ruler, but as sentinel. His crown weighs no less with time. If anything, it becomes heavier with memory. Yet, the greatest burden is not the threat of rebellion or the fear of death. It is the knowledge that peace, when won, will likely never feel like triumph. For no victory is ever untainted in a world where every alliance is a compromise, every decree a blade with two edges. To govern is to trade certainty for sacrifice, love for legacy. Even so, the king endures because he must, because to falter would be to forfeit not just his life, but the fragile scaffolding that holds the realm together. His strength lies not in denial of fear, but in the will to face it daily, relentlessly, without applause. And within that ceaseless resolve, even solitude becomes a kind of sovereignty. Consider a realm where whispers grow louder with each passing day. A king's paranoia may lead him to construct elaborate security apparatuses, effectively turning the court into a fortress. Trust is rationed, friendships tested, and alliances are approached with caution. The psychological cost of such vigilance is immense, potentially leading to isolation. Even royal families are similarly affected, where familiar affection must contend with political expedience. The impact on a king's mindset and interaction with others cannot be overstated. It molds a ruler's view, embedding a vigilance that becomes second nature. The hyper-awareness of danger fosters a sharp political acumen, but also nudges toward solitude. As trust dwindles, so does open dialogue, replaced by a necessity for subtextual reading between the lines. Every meeting, whether with ministers or foreign envoys, becomes a battlefield of subtle maneuvers and strategic feints. A misstep can lead to political ruin or personal peril. One might think of the ancient Roman concept of damnatio memoriae, the condemnation of someone's memory. For a king, this isn't merely about legacy, but survival. Decisions made in the throes of defending the realm shape how a king is remembered. Decisions made in the throes of defending the realm shape how a king is remembered. A ruler's actions resonate through time, casting shadows that fall on successors, as seen in embattled monarchies where every choice has generational implications. In exploring a king's ongoing conflict, we see that the trappings of power, often imagined as opulent and coveted, hide the relentless scrutiny and unending tests of character and resolve. Authority demands much more than its occasional triumphs suggest. Each conquest or political victory is written not just in history, but also in personal sacrifice. To wield power is to live with its costs, facing the struggle between public duty and personal peace. A king lives within this unending cycle of conflict and precarious peace. While his rule might lay the foundations of legacy, it's woven with personal sacrifice and persistent uncertainty. The challenges he endures and the choices made to surmount them define more than just an era of leadership. They are the essence of enduring governance, blending a ruler's unyielding will with the ever-looming specter of the unseen threats that test the very essence of kingship. You awake to the sound of clanging metal echoing through stone corridors. Each morning is a step in your relentless march toward knighthood, a life bound by duty and expectation. As you struggle to lift the weighty cuirass over your shoulders, the reality of your chosen path settles over you like the armor you don, a comforting burden, a sign of honor. Training begins before the sun fully rises, the grounds alive with activity as knights and squires alike hone their skills. Around you, swords cut through the frosty air, each clash and cry a reminder of the life you aspire to lead. Yet beneath the surface lie unspoken challenges, the exhaustion that seeps into your bones with every passing day, and the quiet fear of failure that lingers in the shadows. These are the trials that make warriors of men, demanding grit beyond your years. You wake to the crisp, cold air of dawn in your stone keep, the hearth's faint warmth lingering as you prepare for another demanding day. The clanking of armor and the persuasive scent of boiled oats fill the dim corridors. In the distance, the gentle whir of a grindstone sharpening a sword breaks the silence. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your brothers in arms, your breath visible in the brisk morning as you fasten your cuirass and adjust your gauntlets. each piece a testament to your status and role in society. The training grounds, a flurry of noise and motion, pulsate with life as discipline and valor blend seamlessly. Knights, both veteran and novice, gather on these fields, a patchwork of churned earth and scattered straw, with determination. You charge through a rhythmic routine, your sword cutting the air with a whoosh, each thrust and parry guided by necessity and muscle memory. The clang of steel on steel punctuates your practice. Sparring partners circle one another, testing strength, speed, and strategy. These journeys stretch across miles, where the horse's rhythmic trotting beneath your armored form becomes a meditation. The countryside unfolds around you, a kaleidoscope of rolling hills, barns dotting the distance, the vibrant green fields giving way to dense patches of forest. You serve as the eyes and ears of your liege, ever watchful for marauding bands or rival factions. Each patrol instills a sense of purpose and repetition, your vigilance a barrier against the uncertainty that lurks in the formless shadows of the realm. Back in the keep, you move with deliberate intent, attending your lord with a keen sense of duty. In grand halls filled with the soft glow of torches, you stand guard, observing the rush of courtly life. Pages and squires dart to and fro, bustling with messages and tasks. Your presence is one of silent strength, a reassuring emblem of power and protection. You remain attuned to the murmured dealings of diplomacy, safeguarding your lord's interests, reading unspoken envoys and political games with an intuitive foresight refined over years. Not every day follows the calm monotony of routine. Tournaments punctuate the seasons, offering a stage to showcase your prowess. The excitement builds long before your shield meets a lance, as days of preparation lead to this moment. Crowd stands rise alongside tents, flags snapping in the wind, adding color to a scene of dust and sweat. You armor up, your coat of mail gleaming beneath the sun. The atmosphere trembles with anticipation. A shifting sea of peasants, merchants, and nobility watches as you don your helm and lead your powerful horse onto the meticulously groomed field. The joust, the crown jewel of the tournament, sees you spurred into thundering charges. There's elegance in this brutal dance as lances shatter upon shields, a calculated art where balance, accuracy, and bravery intertwine. Cheering erupts as combatants unseat one another, echoing across the plains, a chorus of appreciation for skill and valor. On days when combat is not sport, the rhythm shifts to that of skirmishes and warfare. The battlefield transforms from the controlled chaos of the training grounds to an opera of survival. Here, strategies honed through countless hours of practice unfold against opponents just as hungry for victory. The air thickens with the metallic tang of blood and sweat. The shouts of commanders weave into the symphony of clashing arms, images that burn themselves into your memory. Through woodlands and across rivers, you bridge your present with stories of old, tales of heroism, romanticized around firelit evenings with your comrades. You recount victories and losses, each story etched with lessons that shape your understanding of courage. These narratives tether you to the ideals of valor and honor, binding you to those beside you in a continuum of shared purpose. When dusk falls over the battlefield, you tend to the wounded, offering a different kind of strength. Your hands, roughened from years of gripping a sword, now bring solace to the fallen and the faltering. There is a shared silence in these moments, a recognition of mortality, of the limits that lie beyond even the sharpest blade. Throughout it all, this life of discipline and dedication leaves its mark. The cycle repeats: training, patrolling, attending, fighting, engraving itself on you, not just in bruises and scars, but in your very soul. The physical demands are unrelenting. Your armor presses down on your shoulders, the weight of iron, a daily burden. Countless marches and endless skirmishes grind away at you, carving away at your body and your will. But the mental strain is no lighter. Every move you make, every breath you take is shadowed by violence. Peace exists only in fragile pockets, thin as mist between storms. Even a life cultivated in honor cannot always shield you from the toll. Here rise the true challenges: the specter of injury, the pull of exhaustion, the crushing expectations behind every decision. War is relentless, and knighthood demands your unwavering presence. At its heart, you must craft this intricate ballet between duty and self, letting your principles guide you as much as the sword in your hand. In the quiet spaces between battles, in the stillness of campfires, or the hush of moonlit halls, questions begin to surface. Introspection creeps in, unbidden but necessary, whispering from the edge of your awareness. These truths follow you. They carry forward, growing heavier with time, shaping and challenging you as you tread this long and brutal path. Picture yourself in training. Your day begins at dawn, heralded by the ceaseless clang of steel against steel. This is no mere exercise. It's a brutal ritual, a rite that forges squires into warriors. Your armor, often exceeding 60 pounds, is both shield and burden. Its weight presses on every movement, forcing strength into your muscles and resilience into your spirit. To lift an arm, to take a step, each is an act of will. Now imagine charging on horseback with that same weight, speed, and power demanded in tandem with endurance. The demands are extreme. In the chaos of battle, injuries are not rare. They are expected. The clash of weapons is no exaggerated note. It's the overture to bruises, to blood, to broken bone. And still, you rise, because this is the life you've chosen. A life where honor walks hand in hand with sacrifice. Consider the types of wounds you endure: jagged cuts from swords, the deep bruises from maces, and the sharp, piercing thrusts from lances. Each weapon leaves its mark, raw, unforgiving, a testament to the violence embedded in the marrow of medieval life. But beyond the obvious, think of the strain your body carries each day. Wearing armor that weighs more than 60 pounds is not just a physical task. It is a burden that never truly lifts. Muscle strain, joints ache, and fatigue sets in long before the battle even begins. During training or skirmish, fractures are not uncommon. Exhaustion is constant. That weight of steel and expectation presses down on you always, a reminder that duty is never light. Yet the mental toll rivals even the heaviest steel. Picture yourself on the cusp of battle, your body still, but your mind a whirlwind. There are no certainties here, only the looming specter of death. You live every day, knowing that each battle might be your last. It's a truth that breeds pressure so immense it becomes a second kind of armor, one made not of iron, but of stress. Fear walks with you, not only the fear of death, but of failure. You live every day, knowing that each battle might be your last. It's a truth that breeds pressure so immense it becomes a second kind of armor, one made not of iron, but of stress. Fear walks with you, not only the fear of death, but of failure. For you, honor is paramount. It's a principle you hold above your own life, a code that demands unwavering courage in the face of terror, and absolute loyalty even when the cost is steep. Reconciling this code with the brutal, blood-soaked chaos of war requires strength of another kind. To survive, you forge coping mechanisms. You lean on your brothers in arms, knights who march and bleed beside you. Together, you share stories and silences, a bond welded in the crucible of combat. In them, you find solace, a quiet support amid the screams of battle. Sometimes you retreat inward. You find refuge in prayer, in meditation, in the quiet repetition of ritual. Other times you steel yourself, turning emotion into armor. Your face unreadable, your resolve absolute. Each of you finds your own way through the mental maze that knighthood constructs. Then there is loyalty. You swore fealty to your liege lord, and that oath is more than ceremony. It is a lifeline in a world of shifting sands and bloodied hands. Loyalty is your compass in the fog of war. But even that compass can waver, because loyalty sometimes demands sacrifice, not just of yourself, but of your companions. You are asked to make choices, to charge forward or fall back, to save a comrade or obey a command. Each decision ripples through the lives around you, reshaping friendships, alliances, and memories. You exist in a world of contradictions. There is the myth of the gallant knight, shining noble, serving virtue with unshakable grace. And then there is the truth, a truth of blood on your blade, pain in your bones, and grief behind your eyes. You're expected to embody both, to live the legend and survive the reality. Consider, too, the world in which you operate. This is no courtly paradise. It's a realm of scarcity. Food is fuel, not joy. Sleep is stolen when it can be. The comforts of life are distant luxuries. Routine becomes your lifeline. You train, you march, you fight. Discipline becomes a shield against chaos, and the rhythm of duty is the only rhythm you can rely on, and still you endure. Imagine the fortitude it takes, your endurance forged not just by heat and blade, but by choice. Each scar on your body speaks to a battle overcome, each bruise a badge of survival. The code is clear: honor above all, duty without fail. But you are still human. Imagine the fortitude it takes, your endurance forged not just by heat and blade, but by choice. Each scar on your body speaks to a battle overcome, each bruise a badge of survival. The code is clear: honor above all, duty without fail. But you are still human. You know fear, you know doubt, and it is this very complexity, this tension between the sacred and the savage, that defines you. You are a warrior, forged of grit and grace, striving each day to live up to the impossible standards carved into the code you follow. And in doing so, you reveal not just strength, but soul. As you continue to walk the winding path of knighthood, remember this: your discipline does not falter. Even when the trials are relentless, when the weight on your shoulders feels too great, you hold firm to the codes that define your very being. Your life is an intricate dance, choreographed between two worlds, the myth of grandeur and the raw truth of sacrifice. And it is in that space, in that narrow gap between belief and reality, that the heart of knighthood lies. With the heavy cloak of chivalry resting across your shoulders, you must tread the line between what others believe you to be and who you actually are. You strive daily to reconcile the shining ideals of justice, courage, and loyalty with the bloody, exhausting, unforgiving demands of your reality. Knighthood does not merely ask, it insists. It urges you toward a life perched precariously between romantic legend and cold endurance, and you comply because you must, because your oath does not bend with the wind. You've already faced the toll, brutal injuries that test your endurance, the psychological weight of carrying your life in your hands each dawn. Yet what binds your world together is something deeper, a rigid, unshakable discipline. This commitment to duty is more than training with sword and shield. It is the architecture of your existence. It is the scaffolding that supports every moment of your day, from first light until the last embers of dusk. Your hours are consumed. Training that tests the limits of your body, weapon care that demands precision and patience, strategic drills that sharpen your mind like a finely honed blade. There is no part of your life untouched by the call of discipline. This routine does more than strengthen your muscles. It forges your resolve. You learn to be vigilant, always, to react swiftly, to remain composed under pressure, to act with honor, even in the smallest of decisions. There is no comfort in your calling. The armor you wear is no longer a foreign weight. It is a second skin. The ringing of blades, your daily rhythm, the scent of sweat and steel, your constant companions. Perhaps you understand this better through the tale of Geoffrey de Lusignan. He was no legend born of song, but a man of brutal reality, renowned for his precision and unbending commitment to the chivalric code. He rejected comfort. He trained when others rested. He lived not for glory, but for principle. His nights were spent on cold earth, not in silken tents. The rhythm of his life was one of service, hard, unromantic, and absolute. His story reminds you that knighthood is not polished armor and fanfare. It is the grind, it is the sacrifice, and it is the unwavering resolve to do what is right, not what is easy. Your life mirrors this grind. You face the constant challenge of balancing personal allegiance with your duty to your liege. It's a fragile, shifting balance, often tilted by the pressures of politics and war. You might draw strength or caution from the legacy of Sir Thomas Malory, a knight himself. His life during the War of the Roses reveals the strain of serving ideals in a time of betrayal and shifting loyalties. He, too, struggled to uphold honor in a world unraveling at the seams, and in his writings you sense the same tension you know too well, the dissonance between what a knight should be and what the world forces him to become. Beyond the weight of armor, beyond the scars and ceremony, lies the truth. This life demands personal sacrifice. Yours is a world far removed from courtly tales and songs of valor. You persist because your code is more than tradition. It is your identity, and every dawn you rise, you reaffirm your place, not in fantasy, but in the steadfast march of those who came before you. You are a knight, not by the glitter of the myth, but by the grit of reality. You have faced solitude, long, unbroken stretches away from hearth and kin. Annual campaigns pulled you from the warmth of home, leaving behind children who grew without your watchful eye and loved ones who lived with only memory. Your reunions, when they came, were brief and bittersweet, interrupted by duty's unyielding call. Your sacrifices were never for glory alone. They were offered in the name of survival, of kingdoms, of people, of the ideals etched deep into your soul. Time and again, you chose your oath over comfort, carving hollow spaces in your personal life. You know the paradox well. Battlefield accolades cannot fill the silence of an empty home. Victory wears a different face when it comes at the cost of joy. In this crucible of conflict between expectation and experience, the truth of knighthood is laid bare. Romance may depict you as a figure draped in virtue, poised for quests and triumphs. But you understand the deeper truth. Your journey was never painted in strokes of constant triumph. It was built upon compromise, forged through doubt, and tested in the dark hours of lonely vigils and cold battlefields. Picture the eager squire you once were, eyes bright, dreams polished like a new blade. You imagined honor gleaming in sunlight, the weight of a sword as the crown of your destiny. But the rain-slicked mud, the aching cold, and the constant specter of death offered you a different education. Your armor, once a symbol of glory, became stained with dirt and wear. Your dreams, once romantic, were tempered into resilience. That is the transformation of a knight, not into a myth, but into something far more real. You rarely saw the feasts sung off in ballads. Instead, your meals were sparse, your shelter meager, your battles many. The weight of your armor wasn't only iron and leather, it was expectation, tradition, and duty, pressing down day after day. And yet, you endured, not because the path was easy, but because it mattered. Your grit, not your glamour, etched your place into history. You held the line when others faltered. You bore the codes of honor, even as the world around you threatened to unravel. You learned that knighthood was never about perfection. It was about humanity, navigating moral ambiguity, making hard choices, and still choosing the path of principle. Even in moments of personal loss and isolation, you remained bound to a code that allowed no easy exits. Your freedom was constrained, your choices narrow, yet you still defined honor on your own terms. This is your legacy, not the gleam of a polished helm, of the grandeur of a title, but the resolve to walk forward, regardless, to shape history, not with fanfare, but with steadfastness. When people look back upon your life, let them see more than the shining figure astride a warhorse. Let them see the man beneath the helm. It lives in that constant swing between grit and glory, and it is there, in the motion of that pendulum, that your true spirit resides. Having walked through the fires of expectation, pain, and principle, you've become more than a symbol. You've become a mirror, reflecting our own hopes and struggles, our own quiet battles. In knowing your path, we better understand our own, and like you, we seek to carry our burdens with courage, guided by honor. Even when the world offers no applause,